In 10 years traveling through some sketchy places, from favelas in Brazil to the hood where my wife grew up in Colombia, I've never had a single item stolen. One thief actually tried to rob me and failed so miserably that I was literally embarrassed for him, and I'll share that story at the end. Today I'll show you the exact gear and techniques that make thieves pass me by, plus some extras in case you're traveling alone and want to be extra cautious. Some of these things look completely ordinary but have secret features that would make James Bond jealous, and others cost as little as $5 and have saved me big time. My first secret is this. Some super strong deodorant. No, I'm just kidding. It's what's inside that counts. Inside this deodorant I have plastic baggie, and inside this plastic baggie I have $500 in cash, a USB with backups of my important information, and an AirTag. If a thief is ruffling through your bag, they're looking for obvious targets that they can grab super fast, like your wallets, your phones, jewelry, not a half-used stick of deodorant. This is just one of a bunch of secret hiding spots I'll show you later that look like everyday items but can save your most valuable possessions. As I show you all these items, remember that the goal with anti-theft gear isn't to make theft impossible, it's just to make you a harder target than the next person using the 3 Ds. Deterrence, which will make thieves look elsewhere. Delay, which will make any theft take longer. And detection, which will let you immediately know if something's happening. No one single solution is perfect, but the more barriers you add, the less likely you are to become a target. Since we're digital nomading around the world long term, we travel with 2 MacBooks and a bunch of expensive gear. To give us some peace of mind when we stayed in places with weaker security, like these beach bungalows with barely locking doors we stayed on in the beach for 3 months, we use this guy, or at least we used to use it. This is a portable safe that you can lock to fixed objects in your room, and it's lined with metal wire. This is full right now, but when it's empty, this is pretty easy to pack on the inside of a checked bag. But the problem is if you travel carry-on only like we do now, this is a little bit bulky, especially this large size. So our solution was to find actual luggage that had this same anti-theft technology built right into it. And this carry-on bag and personal item and crossbody hip pack thingy that Pacsafe sent us to test out are the closest things that you'll get to Fort Knox. This video isn't sponsored by Pacsafe or anything, I just think they do an impressive job at covering the 3Ds. Each of these 3 bags have panels that are lined with steel mesh, and they have these straps that you can lock to the same fixed objects, and the straps are lined with metal wire and are cut resistant. Then the carry-on bag, which is the bag you're most likely to leave behind in your room, has these puncture resistant zippers. So unlike normal zippers that can be opened easily by poking a pen into it, these can't. I mean, just imagine for a second that you're the pickpocket and you're trying to pickpocket into this bag. First, you need to access the zippers, which means you need to open this clip hiding the zippers. Then you have this big old thingy here. You have to figure out how to open that, which first you have to unlock it by twisting this, then pulling that. Then you can take the zippers off. And then the zippers are connected to each other, so you have to figure out how to disconnect the zippers. And then you can open the bag and try to steal something. This is literally a pickpocket's worst nightmare. Now, obviously, I wouldn't use all of these security features every single time I use the bag. It'd be mostly just when I'm going to an area that I feel vulnerable. That said, you don't necessarily have to upgrade to a bag with all the fancy bells and whistles, because there are some cheap and simple hacks that you can use to add security to the bags that you already have. The first are these carabiners with these little screw closure thingies that you can use to secure your bag to fixed objects and prevent thieves from snatching them and running away. I recently even used this one when I was in a pinch and needed to lock up my bicycle in Brazil. I didn't have an actual bike lock, and so I just clipped this to one of the spokes and then clipped that to the bike parking station. And I know this isn't Fort Knox, but I was close by and I was just worried about someone grabbing that bike and running away. Another cheap thing that you can use are these tiny little zipper clip thingies that you can clip your zippers together to make them harder for pickpockets to open your zippers without you noticing. Or you could even use a paper clip for this if you wanted. For leaving luggage back in your room, you could also secure it to a fixed object using a normal bike lock or one of these retractable wire lock thingies. Obviously, this would work better if you're using some sort of hard shell suitcase that's harder to cut into and not a normal backpack where they could just cut open. Please give this video a quick like if it's giving you ideas on how to travel more securely. Apart from these cheap items, I also always carry around different types of tape because they have a surprising amount of anti-theft uses, and we'll get to those in a second. I just want to note that it's more than just using the right gear though. You need to have awareness of your surroundings, and that's going to be more effective than any fancy anti-theft technology. For example, when you're in public transportation, it's a good idea to keep your valuables sitting on your lap and not below you on the floor. Or if you're wearing your backpack in crowded areas, you don't want to keep your valuables in these top easy access pockets, and you may even want to wear on the front if you're on public transportation and there's people all around you, or at the very least, if you're going to wear it on your back, don't wear it all loosey-goosey like this. Instead, make it nice and tight to your body so that you can feel it if people are touching and messing with things. One of the ways that you're most likely to lose your valuables when traveling is by getting pickpocketed in busy tourist areas or public transportation. In Barcelona, a TikTok even went viral of people actually tying their phone to their wrist to prevent theft. You don't necessarily have to go to these extremes to protect your stuff though. A more realistic solution is to just always use clothes with zipper pockets, especially interior zipper pockets. For example, I have 2 Scotty vest jackets that each have over 20 pockets, including 6 interior zipper pockets specifically designed for different items, like your phone, passport, tablet, and even the sunglasses pocket with an attached cleaning cloth. If you have your valuables zipped up in one of these interior pockets and then your jacket zipped up, it's physically impossible for a pickpocket to slip in their sneaky fingers no matter how distracted you are. Scotty Vest is so confident that their clothes are impossible to pickpocket that they offer a $1,000 pickpocket guarantee that nobody has claimed in the past 20 years. I also love using these jackets in the airport because I can quickly throw in all of my valuables into these interior pockets, and then when I get to airport security, all I have to do is whip off my jacket and throw it in the bin. That way there's nothing lying out loosey-goosey in the bins where airport thieves or even the TSA themselves can steal stuff. I partnered with Scotty Vest on this video, and if you want to check out all of their pickpocket-proof clothes, I'll link them below. You can also get a special discount using this link and then sending a message to their chat saying that Project Untethered sent you. All that said, if you already have all of your favorite travel clothes and don't want to buy anything new, another thing that you can do is take a DIY approach and sew in your own interior secret pockets. Like what I did here. This used to be an interior pocket in my pants leg, and I did this in Guatemala. I just found a seamstress and she charged me $5 to make this. Okay, now for some more secret hiding spots, because it's a good idea to have multiple different spots so not all of your things are in the same place. One that I found is this water bottle with a secret compartment, which would be super convenient if and only if you have a water bottle holder that's extra secure, because you wouldn't want to lose this. One problem with these secret hiding spots is that a lot of them aren't big enough to fit your phone, because phones these days are just huge. But one thing that I did find that you could fit a phone in is this book with a secret hiding spot inside. And I don't know if I would personally want this extra weight in my carry-on bag, but I could definitely see uses for this at the beach, for example. Another is this hanger with a hidden compartment inside where you could just hang your clothes in the closet in your hotel. Or if you're really cheeky, you can use the old diaper trick, which will also fit a phone quite nicely. You might need bigger diapers than our baby size though. The idea is to choose something that a thief either wouldn't want to take or wouldn't want to touch. But whatever you do, when you're actually traveling, make sure to keep this secret hidden item separate from your other valuables. For example, I wouldn't want to put my deodorant stick with $500 inside of my laptop case. Also, obviously, you're going to want to be a little bit discreet and not access your items out in the open in public. Before we get to some other strategies and the embarrassing theft attempt story I was telling you about, make sure to subscribe if you want more tips on how to travel safer and smarter. Next up is the good old Decoy wallet, which can be helpful in certain circumstances, but overkill and annoying in others. On the inside, I recommend carrying around $5, obviously in the local currency. I don't have the local currency right now. And you can also put in some old credit cards, or I have my old Priority Pass card here and old IDs. And yes, this is me in college and I looked like a thug. In my opinion, these decoy wallets are less about avoiding pickpockets and more about avoiding actual robberies. Or they also could be handy if you're leaving your stuff behind somewhere and you want someone to take this and not dig deeper to find the real stuff. If you're going to use a decoy wallet, just make sure that you always put it in the same spot and even practice taking the decoy wallet out, because if you're getting robbed in a quick situation and you're emptying your pockets, you want to be able to, by reflex, grab the default wallet and not your real wallet. But obviously, if someone actually pulls a weapon on you and you start to panic and can't remember where it is, just give them everything, even if you accidentally give them your real wallet, because your life is more important. If carrying around a decoy all the time seems like too much hassle, then the other thing you can do is simply only take out with you each day what you need for that day, and then leave all your other cash and credit cards behind in your hiding spots. I personally used to use decoys for my first 10-month solo trip through Latin America, but eventually I just got annoyed with having to carry an extra thing all the time, and now I do the second option where I just only carry what I need. If you're gonna be traveling through more theft-prone areas, it's also not a bad idea to bring a backup cheap phone with you that just has the essential apps, especially if you have an old phone laying around your house anyways. This is something I almost learned the hard way, but luckily the guy who tried to rob me was quite possibly the most pathetic thief on earth. It all started when I took my brand new phone to salsa dancing class in Colombia because I wanted to record all the moves that we learned. Then after class, I made several rookie mistakes. First, it was 9:30 at night and the streets were dark and empty, which is not the best time to walk home alone in Cali, Colombia. I did hide my phone in my underwear though, so I'll give myself credit for that. I made my second mistake when a guy approached me asking for directions, and this should have been a screaming red flag, because why would a Colombian be asking the clueless gringo for directions in Colombia? But I was so excited and proud of myself that I actually knew where the place was that he was asking about, that I let him get close to me so I could explain it to him. He said thanks, and then he reached out to me to shake my hand, and then he pulled me into a vice grip and started talking really fast. This was back when my Spanish was still pretty iffy, and the only word that I could hear him saying was banda, which means gang. My brain just randomly filled in the blanks, and for some reason I thought that he was asking me to join his gang, and so naturally I said no gracias. He kept talking and I kept saying no gracias over and over, and he kept getting angrier and angrier until I finally realized what he was actually doing. In Spanish, he was saying, "I have a gun, give me your phone." But at this point, I didn't see any guns, and this guy was literally like half of my size, so I made a split-second decision to keep playing dumb and continue smiling at him, saying no thank you. Eventually he asked me, "Me entiendes?" And I responded no, which should have blown my cover, but like I said, this guy wasn't the sharpest thief in the crayon box. He growled at me, let me go, and I smiled at him and said, "Que tengas buena noche," and walked away. I'm interested to hear what you would have done in that situation, so leave a comment below. Anyways, from that moment on, whenever we had to go walk outside at night, I would bring my 7-year-old cracked iPhone as my going out phone that had limited apps on it. And when using phones, I always use Face ID or the fingerprint if it has fingerprint, and I never type in my code in public places where other people might be watching. If someone steals your phone and knows your passcode, they can wipe out your bank accounts literally in minutes. This is true whether you're traveling or at home. So we've talked a lot about securing and hiding your stuff, but we haven't actually covered how to prevent thieves from breaking into your room to begin with. I made an entire video on how to secure your hotel room that you can watch up in the corner here, but there are two things that I forgot to say in that video. First is to always pack tape, and I like to just roll a few rolls of duct tape around my real deodorant stick, but I know that other people like to use painter's tape. Then if your hotel or Airbnb has a peephole, you want to stick a piece of tape on top of that peephole. That's because thieves and weirdos can buy these reverse peephole tools and look in on you from the outside and see if the room is empty or even spy on you. And if you're going to be taking an overnight train or bus or something and leaving your bags below separated from you, another thing you can do is use this duct tape to tape the zippers together so it's way harder to unzip, especially if you have one of those bags with puncture-proof zippers. Plus, duct tape just comes in handy for fixing random things like my flip-flops that broke at the worst possible time way out on a remote island in the Maldives. Next, if you're traveling with expensive gear and you're worried about your room's security, Another thing you can do is to bring a travel security camera with you to monitor your room while you're away. There's a few easy ways you can go about this. I haven't personally used this strategy yet, but since these cameras are now so cheap and so small, and now that we're traveling with a baby, I'm gonna start using it. This isn't just for preventing theft either, because if you're traveling alone, especially as a woman, this can give you some extra peace of mind. The first option is to get a cheap, obviously looking security camera and put it out in the open, pointing right at the door, so if a thief opens the door and starts to walk in, they'll see the camera and hopefully it'll scare them away. With this option, you can record to an SD card, but if you wanted to record over Wi-Fi so you can watch it live, then you might have to do some finagling because sometimes hotel Wi-Fi can be a little bit unstable. The second option is if you end up bringing that extra old cell phone that I talked about, you can use the Alfred camera app and turn it into a security cam. You can also take a more discreet approach and get a hidden camera like this one that looks like a charger. Just plug it into your wall and it'll record to an SD card without running out of battery. The downside to how cheap and easy spy cams are to get is that anyone can get their hands on them. The news is full of stories of people finding hidden cameras in their hotels and Airbnbs. And if you want to learn how to scam your accommodation for hidden cameras in 5 minutes with no special equipment, watch this video next. It'll show you exactly where to look and what to look for without being overly paranoid. All right, guys, like, subscribe, and do the things. Love you. Bye-bye.